Hey guys, tonight we are venturing deep into the past, further back than the Romans or the classical Greeks. We're heading to the humid, sweltering, and mysterious heart of ancient Mesoamerica to live among its first great civilization, the Olmec. We're going to step into a world of giant stone heads, powerful shaman kings, and a belief system that saw the sacred in the jaguar, the serpent, and the life-giving maze. This isn't a story of empires you've read about in textbooks. The Olmec are a ghost. They left behind no decipherable writing, only their stunning, enigmatic art and the ruins of their great ceremonial centers. Swallowed by the jungle, we're going to piece together a life from these clues. A life governed by disturbing, powerful rituals designed to appease forces of nature you can't begin to comprehend. And let's be honest, you would not do well in the Olmec heartland. You, who might complain about a humid summer day or the occasional mosquito, would be a walking buffet in the tropical lowlands of Veracruz. Your modern immune system would likely be defeated by a single sip of river water. And your existential dread about your career would seem pretty trivial when the thing you actually have to dread is a jaguar deciding your hut looks like a promising lunch spot. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. It's a small, simple way to support the channel, and it lets me know that you're enjoying these deep dives into our shared, and often strange, past, and as always, I'd love to see where you're all joining from. It's a wonderful tradition. So please post your city or country and the local time in the comments below. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You are born into a world that is always wet. The air itself is a tangible thing. A thick, heavy blanket of humidity that clings to your skin from the moment of your birth. You are born in a simple hut made of pole and thatch, its roof a haven for spiders and small lizards. The sounds of your world are the constant: deafening drone of insects, the chattering of monkeys in the canopy above, the guttural bark of a jaguar deep in the night, and the slow, muddy pulse of the great river that is the source of all life and all danger. This is the Olmec heartland. It is a world of staggering fertility and terrifying power. Your family lives in a small village, a cluster of huts built on a man-made earthen mound, a slight elevation that offers some protection from the seasonal floods that turn the entire world into a vast, brown swamp. Your life, and the life of your village, revolves around the holy trinity of Mesoamerican agriculture maize, beans, and squash. And of these, maize, a gift from the gods, is the most sacred. It is the substance of your body, the center of your cosmology, from your first moments. The spirit world is as real as the mud between your toes. It is not a distant heaven. It is here, now, all around you. The great ceiba tree at the edge of the village is the home of a powerful spirit. The river is a great serpent, capable of giving life with its water or taking it with its sudden. Violent floods. The clouds that gather in the afternoon are not just weather. They are the physical manifestation of the great rain spirit, a being that is part human, part toad, and part jaguar. A creature of immense power whose favor must be constantly courted. Your world is 90% humidity, 10% mosquitoes, and 100% chance that what you see is a thunderstorm. Your neighbor sees as an angry sky serpent having a very bad day. Your own body is marked for its place in this world from infancy. Shortly after your birth, your head is bound. Two small, flat boards are tied tightly to your soft, pliable skull, one at the front and one at the back. Over the next few years, this constant, gentle pressure will reshape your head, elongating your cranium, pushing it up and back. This is not seen as a cruelty. It is a mark of beauty, a sign of high status. a way of making you look more like the elongated head of the sacred maze god himself. This practice of infant cranial modification, an obscure but vital part of your culture, ensures that you will carry the mark of your people, your identity, for your entire life. Your very silhouette is a statement of who you are. Your life is one lived in a small, tight-knit community, but your world is governed by forces from a nearby, grander place. A few hours' walk from your village is a great ceremonial center, a place like La Venta or San Lorenzo. It is a complex of large, earthen pyramids, wide plazas, and mysterious, buried stone monuments. It is not a city in your modern sense. Few people live there. It is a sacred space, a place where the human world and the spirit world intersect, and it is the seat of your ruler. He is not just a king or a chief. He is a shaman king, a man of immense spiritual power who can communicate with the gods, who can travel in spirit form, and who can transform himself into the most powerful creature of your world, the jaguar. His authority is absolute because it is divine. His face, with its distinctive downturned mouth, thick lips, and almond-shaped eyes, is the face of Olmec power. This connection between the ruler and the supernatural is everywhere. You see it in the small clay figurines your mother keeps, figures of men who seem to be in the process of transforming into jaguars. You hear it in the stories the elders tell of the great jaguar, a creature that is both man and beast, a symbol of the ruler's power to bridge the two worlds. The Olmec civilization is what modern scholars will call a mother culture. It is the cultura madre of Mesoamerica. This is a common historical fact you will never know, but you will live it. The things your people do, the building of pyramids, the playing of a sacred ball game, the carving of jade, the worship of a feathered serpent and a rain god will be passed down for thousands of years. Inherited and adapted by the later, great civilizations of the Maya and the Aztec. You are the source. Your strange, disturbing rituals are the foundation of a world to come, but the true nature of your world's power structure is a mystery. Archaeologists thousands of years in your future will debate it endlessly. Are you a citizen of a unified Olmec state, ruled from a single capital like La Venta, or is your world a collection of smaller, competing chiefdoms, each with its own powerful shaman ruler, all bound together by a shared religion and a complex network of trade? You do not know. You only know the reality of your own life. You know your village owes tribute and labor to the ruler of the nearby ceremonial center. You know that his power, whether it extends for 10 miles or 100, is absolute in your world. Your diet is simple. It is a constant rotation of maize, prepared in a dozen different ways. It is ground into flour on a stone metate and formed into flat cakes cooked on a clay griddle. The ancestor of the tortilla, it is made into a thick, nourishing porridge called atole. This is supplemented with the beans and squash from your garden, with fish and turtles from the river, and with the occasional meat from a hunted deer or peccary. Life is precarious. You are at the mercy of the rains, the floods, the pests that can destroy the maize crop. A failed harvest means famine. A river that rises too high can wash your entire village away, and the jungle that surrounds you is filled with things that can kill you, the silent jaguar, the venomous fer-de-lance snake, the crocodile that waits patiently in the murky water. To survive in this world, you cannot rely on your own strength. You must rely on the strength of the community and on the favor of the powerful. Unseen forces that control everything. Your life becomes a series of rituals, of offerings, of prayers, all designed to maintain the delicate balance between the human world and the spirit world. This balance is maintained by your shaman king. He is the great intermediary, and his power, and your very survival, depends on his ability to perform the great and often disturbing rituals that nourish the gods and ensure the continuation of the world. You are born into this world of gods, and you will soon learn that these gods are often thirsty, and that you will be expected to help quench that thirst. Your life is not your own. It belongs to your family, to your village, and ultimately, to the gods and the ruler who speaks for them. Your life in the village is small, intimate, and governed by the immediate needs of your family and your crops. But looming over this small existence is a power so immense it feels like a force of nature itself. This is the power of your ruler, the shaman king who lives at the heart of the great ceremonial center. You may not see him often, but his presence, his authority, is the organizing principle of your world. He is the sun around which your small, muddy planet revolves. His power does not come from a lineage of mere men or from the force of a simple army. It comes from the spirit world. He is the man who can walk in the realms of the gods. He can speak to the rain spirit and coax it to water the maize. He can confront the dark spirits of the underworld. And, most importantly, he has a deep, primal connection to the most powerful and feared creature in your world. The jaguar. The jaguar is the apex predator, the master of the jungle, a creature of terrifying strength and stealth. Your ruler is believed to share its spirit, to be able to draw upon its power, and perhaps, in the throes of a sacred ritual, to even become one. Your ruler isn't just a king. He's also a high priest and possibly part jaguar on his mother's side. It makes complaining about his policies a very high-risk activity. This divine authority is not just an abstract idea, it is made manifest. It is carved into stone, into a form so massive and so permanent, it seems to defy the very laws of nature. You encounter this for the first time as a young man, when you are called with the other men of your village to make a pilgrimage to the ceremonial center for a great festival. After days of walking along narrow jungle paths, you emerge into a vast, cleared plaza. The scale of the place is stunning. Great, man-made mountains of packed earth. The first pyramids of this continent rise towards the sky. The air is thick with the smell of incense, of burning copal resin. And there, arranged in a line along the plaza, you see them. The colossal heads. You have heard of them, of course. But the stories do not prepare you for the reality. They are monstrous, larger than any object you have ever seen. You stand before one, and it towers over you, as tall as 3 men. It is carved from a single, massive boulder of dark, volcanic basalt, and it is a face, a human face, rendered with an incredible subtle artistry. The cheeks are full and fleshy, the nose is broad and flat, the mouth is thick-lipped and downturned in a serene, almost grumpy expression. But it is the eyes that hold you. They are almond-shaped, wide, and they stare out over the plaza with a look of calm, unshakable, eternal authority. The gaze is not cruel, not angry. It is simply powerful. A statement of fact as undeniable as the sun in the sky. This is not a statue of a god. You know the faces of the gods from the small clay figurines in your village. This is a man. You realize, with a jolt of awe that is close to fear, that you are looking at the face of a ruler, perhaps the current shaman king, or his father, or his grandfather. These great heads, a common fact that will one day define your civilization to future scholars, are individual portraits of your divine kings. Most leaders get a statue in the town square. Your leader gets his 40-ton head carved out of a volcano and dragged 50 miles through a swamp. It sends a very clear message about who's in charge of the budget. As you stand there, dwarfed by this stone portrait, you begin to understand the true nature of the power that rules your life. To create such a thing is a feat that borders on the supernatural. The basalt stone it is carved from does not come from here. It comes from the Tuxtla Mountains, more than 50 miles away, across a landscape of swamps, rivers, and dense jungle. how was it moved? You have no wheeled vehicles. You have no beasts of burden like oxen or horses. The thought of moving this mountain of rock seems impossible. It could only be accomplished by the will of a man who can command the labor of thousands of men like you. A man whose authority is so absolute that he can order them to perform a task of almost geological proportions simply to immortalize his face. The head is not just a portrait, it is a testament to the immense power required to create it. Its very existence reinforces the ruler's divine status. You notice that some of the other heads in the plaza are damaged. One has a great chip taken from its side. Another has lines of pockmarks, as if it was repeatedly struck with hammers. You ask an elder from your village about this. He tells you that these are the heads of past rulers. When a ruler dies, he explains, his stone portrait must also be ritually killed. Its power must be neutralized to make way for the new king. The monuments are deliberately mutilated and then carefully, respectfully buried in long, straight lines. This act of ritual destruction is not an act of rebellion. It is a necessary part of the cycle of power, a way of ensuring the continuity of the divine kingship. The true meaning of this practice is something archaeologists thousands of years in the future will debate endlessly. Was this ritual mutilation an act of conquest, performed by invaders who toppled a dynasty? Was it the result of an internal rebellion? The people rising up to deface the image of a hated ruler? Or, as many will come to believe, was it an internal ritual process of succession? A new ruler de-animating the monuments of his predecessor to ceremonially mark the end of one reign and the beginning of another standing here. The weight of the stone ruler's gaze upon you. The last theory feels the most plausible, the most chilling. The power is so absolute that even the transfer of power requires an act of earth-shaking. Ritualized destruction. Later that day, during the height of the festival, you see the ruler himself, the man whose face is carved in stone. He appears at the top of the highest pyramid, a remote figure silhouetted against the sky. He is not dressed as a man. He is a living vessel for the gods. He wears a magnificent headdress of long, iridescent green quetzal feathers. His body is adorned with heavy jade ornaments, ear spools, necklaces, a ceremonial belt. A jaguar pelt is draped over his shoulders. His face is painted. And as he turns, you see he is wearing a mask. Or perhaps his own face is contorted into the ritual snarl of the were-jaguar. His mouth downturned just like the statues. He is terrifying and magnificent. He is the living embodiment of the stone gaze that watches over you. The political structure that supports this divine king is another mystery that will perplex future historians. Is he the head of a unified Olmec state, ruling over a vast territory from this one great center? Or is he one of several powerful chiefs, ruling smaller, competing domains, all linked by a shared religion and culture? The debate will never be fully settled, because your people will leave behind no written records to explain it. Your world is one of potent images, not of words. For you, the political theory does not matter. You know the reality. The man on the pyramid is your ruler. His face is on the great stone that dominates the plaza, and his power dictates your life. You have been summoned here for this festival. You have brought tribute baskets of maize, strings of dried fish, fine woven cloth, and you know that you may soon be summoned again. Not for a festival, but for labor. The next time a ruler dies, a new head will be needed. A new mountain of rock will have to be quarried from the Tuxtla Mountains and dragged through the swamps. And the power to move that mountain will come from the straining backs and the sweat of thousands of men. Just like you return to your village, your mind filled with the awesome and terrifying images of the ceremonial center. The world seems both larger and smaller than it did before. Larger, because you have seen the sheer scale of the power that controls your world. And smaller, because you have a new and clearer understanding of your own tiny, insignificant place within it. your life, your labor, your very existence are all just resources to be used in the service of the man whose stone face now haunts your dreams. You live under the colossal gaze of your ruler, and you know, with a certainty that settles deep in your bones, that when he calls, you will answer. The summons comes on a humid evening, delivered by a grim-faced man from the ceremonial center, an underling of the ruler, his body adorned with the jade and shell ornaments that mark his rank. A new ruler has taken the throne, a new colossal head, a new monument to his divine power. Must be made. Your village, and every village in the domain, is required to provide its quota of strong, able-bodied men for the sacred task. There is no question of refusal. Your name is on the list. A sense of both dread and solemn honor settles upon you. This is not a common chore like mending a levee or clearing a field. This is a sacred duty, a great work for the ruler and the gods. Your family prepares you as if for a long journey into the spirit world. They give you a small pouch of toasted maize flour. Your mother weeps and prays to the ancestor spirits for your safety, and the village shaman performs a small ritual. Anointing your forehead with sacred red ochre, you join a great procession of men, a human river flowing out from the villages and into the dense jungle. There are thousands of you, a temporary army conscripted not for war, but for labor. You walk for days, for weeks, following the rivers, hacking your way through the thick undergrowth. You are heading east, towards the distant Tuxtla Mountains, the only place where the gods have seeded the earth with the special, dark, volcanic basalt required for the monuments. The journey itself is a massive logistical undertaking. At prearranged way stations along the route clearings in the jungle where crude shelters have been erected, food is waiting. It is a testament to the organizational power of your ruler that he can feed and move such a vast workforce. The food is meager, just enough to keep you moving, but it is there. Finally, you arrive at the quarry. It is a grate, open wound on the side of a volcanic mountain. The air is sharp with the smell of stone dust. For generations, your people have come to this sacred place to find the stone hearts of the mountains. You see half-finished, abandoned boulders, and the ground is littered with the hard, dolerite hammerstones used to work the basalt. The priests are here. They move through the quarry, burning copal incense, chanting to the spirit of the mountain, asking it to reveal the correct stone. After days of ritual, a boulder is chosen. It is a monster, a dark, hulking mass of rock weighing more than 20 tons. It is flawless, and the priests declare that it has a strong spirit, worthy of carrying the new ruler's face. Now the work begins. You are not a sculptor. You are muscle. The first task is to roughly shape the boulder and to free it from the surrounding rock. You have no metal tools. Your tools are stone, wood, and fire. You work in gangs, using harder hammerstones to peck and grind away at the basalt. A slow, painstaking process that fills the air with a constant sharp clink, clink, clink. Fires are built against the base of the boulder, heating the rock until it is scorching hot. Then, water is thrown on it, the sudden change in temperature cracking the great stone with a sound like thunder. It is a battle of human persistence against geological time. After weeks of this grueling work, the boulder is freed and roughly shaped into an oblong form. Now comes the great challenge, the central mystery of your civilization, the sacred labor of moving a mountain. The boulder is maneuvered, with immense effort and a complex system of levers, onto a massive sledge built from the trunks of ancient hardwood trees. Hundreds of thick ropes, woven from the fibers of the agave plant, are tied to the sledge. Each rope is as thick as your arm. You are assigned to a rope, along with 50 other men. In front of you and behind you are other ropes, other teams of men. In total, thousands of you are arrayed to pull this single stone. The engineering team has devised a brilliant system for moving the stone. It involves a lot of logs, a lot of rope, and several thousand guys like you pulling until you feel your spine compress. It's cutting edge. 1200 BCE technology. A priest, standing on a high rock, begins a chant. It is a rhythmic work song, a prayer to the gods of strength and endurance. Who? Ha ha! Who? Ha ha! His voice sets the rhythm, and the voices of thousands of men join in. A deep, guttural roar that echoes through the mountains. On the ha! You and every other man on the ropes pull as one. You dig your bare feet into the earth, your back and legs straining until every muscle screams. The ropes go taut, groaning under the immense strain. For a moment, nothing happens. The stone is a dead, immovable part of the earth. But the chant continues, relentless, and you pull again, and again, and then, with a great, groaning shudder that you feel through the ropes and through the very soles of your feet, the sledge moves. It only inches forward, but it moves. A great shout of triumph goes up from the men. This is your life for the next several months. You pull the great stone out of the mountains and down onto the swampy coastal plain. The progress is agonizingly slow. A good day might be a mile. A bad day might be only a few hundred yards. You move the stone over a road of rolling logs. As the sledge passes over a log, men from the back run forward, pick up the now free log, and place it at the front of the sledge. A constant, leapfrogging process of creating a temporary road. Every part of the journey is fraught with peril and requires immense, coordinated effort. You come to a river. The stone cannot be pulled across. It must be floated, a gigantic raft, made of hundreds of balsa wood logs lashed together, is constructed on the riverbank. The process of maneuvering the 20-ton sledge onto the raft is the most dangerous part of the entire journey. Men guide it with levers and ropes, their bodies straining. Inches from the crushing weight, a single slip, a single snapped rope, could mean instant death and the loss of the sacred stone to the bottom of the river. The priests perform hours of rituals, making offerings of jade beads and rubber balls to the river spirit. Begging it for safe passage, you eat, sleep, and breathe the task. Your body becomes a machine of pure labor. You wake before dawn, eat a meager meal of maize cakes, and take your place on the ropes. You pull all day, your world shrinking to the sight of the straining back of the man in front of you and the sound of the foreman's chant in your ears. At night, you collapse into an exhausted sleep in a crude, temporary camp. Your hands raw and blistered. Your body a landscape of pain. The priests are a constant presence. They walk alongside the great stone, burning incense, chanting prayers. They remind you constantly that your work is sacred. Your sweat, your pain, your labor. These are all a prayer, a holy offering to the ruler and the gods. This is how you will ensure a good harvest. This is how you will keep the cosmos in balance. The priests keep telling you that this sacred labor is pleasing to the gods. You're starting to suspect the gods are really into watching people suffer from hernias. Archaeologists in the far future will be baffled by your achievement. They will debate the exact methods, the number of men required, the feasibility of it all. They will create theories and run experiments. But you are living it. You know the truth. It is done with human sweat, with human muscle, with human pain, and with an absolute, unquestioning faith in the divine power of your ruler. A faith so strong that it can, quite literally, move mountains. After months that feel like a lifetime, you finally arrive. You see the great earthen pyramids of the ceremonial center on the horizon. A great cheer goes up from the thousands of laborers. The final stretch is a triumphal procession. You pull the great stone into the sacred plaza and bring it to rest at its designated spot. You are exhausted, emaciated, your body racked with pain. You have given a season of your life to this stone. You look at the massive, gray, uncarved boulder. It is ugly and inert, but you see it with new eyes. You have not just dragged a rock through a swamp. You have participated in a cosmic act. You have helped bring the vessel of your ruler's immortality to its home. Your sacred duty is done. You will be given a special ration of food, perhaps even a piece of meat. And then you will be sent back to your village, to your own small life, and you will carry with you for the rest of your days the memory of this achievement, the knowledge that your own small strength was part of the great collective power that brought a mountain to the feet of a god. You have moved a mountain. You and thousands of your brethren have dragged the great stone heart of a volcano from its distant home and delivered it to the sacred plaza. You are exhausted. Your body is a landscape of aches and pains, but you are filled with a profound sense of accomplishment. The physical labor is done. Now, the spiritual labor must begin. The great stone, the vessel that will soon hold the immortal face of your ruler, must be consecrated. It must be awakened, purified, and fed. A great ceremony is called. Word is sent to all the surrounding villages. You, and the other men who performed the sacred labor, are given a place of honor at the front of the great assembly. The plaza, which was a chaotic work site, is now cleaned and prepared. It is packed with people. A vast crowd standing in the humid, oppressive heat. The air is thick with anticipation and the sharp, piney scent of burning copal incense. The rhythmic, hypnotic beat of a great wooden slit drum echoes from the top of the main pyramid. A sound that seems to match the beating of your own heart. You know what is coming. You have been taught since you were a child that the world operates on a principle of reciprocity, of a great cosmic debt, the gods in the distant, mythological past sacrifice their own blood, their own sacred essence, to create the world, to create the maze that sustains you, and to create mankind itself. Everything you have, all of life, is a loan from the gods, and a loan must be repaid. The sun will not rise. The rain will not fall. The maize will not grow unless the gods are nourished. And the food of the gods, the most potent and sacred substance in the universe, is human blood. This is not a metaphor. It is the central, organizing truth of your world. And today, you will all make a payment on your collective debt. The ceremony begins. The ruler, your shaman king, appears at the top of the great earthen pyramid. He is a magnificent, terrifying figure. He wears an elaborate headdress of impossibly long green quetzal feathers that shimmer in the sun. His body is adorned with a king's ransom in polished jade, a heavy pectoral on his chest, massive ear spools, bracelets, and a heavy belt carved with the symbols of his power. He is the living axis of the world, the bridge between your physical plane and the supernatural realm of the gods. He descends the great staircase of the pyramid slowly, solemnly. His assistants, high-ranking priests, attend him, carrying the sacred instruments for the ritual to come. They present them to him on a fine woven cloth. There is a stingray spine, its sharp, serrated edges a thing of beautiful, natural cruelty. There is a long, thin sliver of razor-sharp obsidian, black and glossy as a jaguar's eye. There is a pointed piece of jade, ground to a perfect, needle-like tip. These are the tools for opening a gateway to the gods. The ruler takes the obsidian blade. The drumming stops. A profound silence falls over the thousands of people in the plaza. All eyes are on him. He holds his head high, and with a steady, practiced hand, he draws the blade across his own tongue. Not once, but several times. The blood flows, a shocking, brilliant crimson against the sun-bleached stone of the plaza. It is a copious amount. An assistant quickly hands him a sheaf of bark paper, and he lets his sacred blood drip onto it, soaking the rough paper until it is a deep, saturated red. Other priests approach him and, with great reverence, use stingray spines to pierce their own earlobes, adding their blood to the offering. This is the ruler demonstrating his power, his commitment. He is paying the greatest debt on behalf of his people. His willingness to endure this pain, to shed his own precious blood, is the ultimate proof of his legitimacy and his unique relationship with the gods. It's a bold leadership style that really shows he's willing to bleed for his job. Literally. The blood-soaked bark paper is then placed in a large ceramic brazier. More copal incense is added, and the offering is set alight. A thick, dark column of smoke rises straight up into the still. Humid air. You watch it rise, and you know that you are watching the essence of your king's life force ascending to the heavens. A fragrant, nourishing meal for the thirsty deities. But this is not just a spectator sport. The ruler has made his great sacrifice. Now, the community must make theirs. A profound spiritual principle is at work here. Everyone must contribute. The cosmos is a shared responsibility. Priests and officials move through the crowd, carrying small clay trays. On the trays are the tools for your own personal offering: sharpened cactus spines, small, wickedly sharp flakes of obsidian, and the needle-like teeth of a garfish. An assistant approaches you and your group. He hands you a small obsidian flake. It is cool and smooth in your hand, its edge impossibly sharp. You know what you must do. This is a moment of deep personal piety, a small echo of the great sacrifice you have just witnessed. You look at the man next to you, another laborer from your village. He takes a cactus spine and, with a grimace of pain, quickly pierces his earlobe, squeezing out a few drops of blood onto a small piece of cotton. It is your turn. There's a lot of audience participation in this religious service. At the end, everyone gets a sharp object and is invited to make a small, pious donation of their own blood. You take a deep breath. You could pierce your ear or your finger, but a greater sacrifice brings greater favor. You stick out your tongue, just as you saw your ruler do. The muscle is thick and strange. You hesitate for a moment, and then, with a quick, decisive movement, you draw the sharp edge of the obsidian across the soft underside. The pain is sharp, clean, and intense. It makes your eyes water. The taste of your own blood, metallic and salty, fills your mouth. You let the blood drip from your tongue onto a small square of paper provided by the priest. He takes your small, crimson offering and adds it to a larger bowl, a great collection of the community's shared sacrifice, which will also be burned. You have done it. You have fed the gods. The pain in your tongue is a dull throb, but you feel a strange sense of elation, of connection. You have taken part in a great cosmic act. You are no longer just a spectator. Your own sacred life force is now part of the offering, mingling with that of your king, rising up to the heavens. You watch as others perform their own auto-sacrifice. Some men pierce their cheeks. Some women draw a rough cord made of agave fiber through their tongues, a practice that produces a great quantity of blood. This public, shared, and painful ritual is a powerful social glue. It binds you to your community and to your ruler in a covenant of blood. Anthropologists and historians in your future will debate the function of this ritual. Was it purely religious devotion, or was it a powerful piece of political theater? A way for the ruler to compel his subjects to participate in a painful act of loyalty, demonstrating his power over their very bodies. For you in this moment, the two things are one and the same. To show devotion is to show loyalty. To bleed for the gods is to bleed for the king. The ceremony lasts for hours. The air grows thick with the smell of blood and burning incense. The drumming begins again, a slow, steady, hypnotic beat. Some of the priests and nobles, their senses perhaps heightened by hallucinogenic plants, begin to dance, their movements jerky and strange. They are entering a trance, traveling to the spirit world. As the sun begins to set, casting long shadows across the plaza. The great ceremony comes to an end. The crowd, in a state of drained, ecstatic exhaustion, begins to disperse. You and the men of your village gather to begin the long walk home. Your tongue is swollen and sore, but you feel a sense of profound spiritual satisfaction. The great stone, the future face of your king, has been bathed in the most sacred substance in the universe. It is consecrated. It is awake. You have fulfilled your duty. You have helped maintain the delicate balance of the cosmos. You have fed the earth with your own blood, and you pray that the earth will now, in turn, feed you. But you also know that blood is not the only offering the gods and the ruler demand. There are other, even more dangerous rituals to come. The great stone now rests in the sacred plaza. Consecrated with your own blood and the blood of your ruler, it waits, pregnant with potential, for the sculptors to begin their slow, patient work of revealing the king's face within. But such a momentous event, the arrival of a future monument, cannot pass without further acknowledgement from the gods. A great game is to be played. You have heard of the ball game your entire life, but you have rarely seen it played at this high level. This is not the simple game the boys in your village play with a lopsided rubber ball. This is a sacred ritual, a sport played by demigods, and its outcome can affect the very balance of the cosmos. You and the other villagers are summoned once again to the ceremonial center to bear witness. You arrive to find the atmosphere in the great plaza is electric. It is completely different from the solemn, painful piety of the bloodletting ceremony. Today is a day of excitement, of tension, of a citywide festival. You smell roasting meat and maize cakes being sold at small stalls. You hear the sounds of drums and high-pitched flutes, and you hear the roar of a crowd. You are led to the ball court. It is one of the most impressive structures in the ceremonial center. A long, narrow alleyway paved with smooth, hard-packed clay on either side. Great! Sloping stone walls rise up, perfectly angled. You and the hundreds of other spectators find a place at the top of these sloping walls. Looking down into the eye-shaped court below, it feels like an arena, a theater for a drama of cosmic importance. The game is a reenactment of the great struggles of your universe. It is the sun fighting the moon for control of the sky. It is life battling the forces of the underworld. It is order against chaos. The players are not just athletes, they are ritual actors. And the court is a microcosm of the entire universe. The two teams make their entrance. They are magnificent, powerful men. Their bodies lean and muscular, the pinnacle of physical prowess. They are likely high-born nobles or warriors who have trained for this sacred sport their entire lives. They wear a strange and specific uniform around their thick waists. They wear a heavy protective yoke, made of leather or perhaps even wood, to protect their hips. They have pads on their knees and elbows. Some wear elaborate headdresses, marking their lineage or their patron deity. Then, the ball is brought out. It is a thing of power in itself. It is made of solid, black rubber, harvested from the sacred rubber trees that grow deep in the jungle. It is heavy, perhaps as much as 8 or 9 pounds. And you know from the village games that it is dangerously hard and bounces with a surprising, unpredictable energy. The game begins. The two teams, perhaps 7 men to a side, take their positions. A priest throws the ball into the court, and the world explodes into a flurry of motion. The objective, you know, is to keep the heavy ball in the air, striking it only with the hips, the thighs, or sometimes the upper arms. The use of hands or feet is strictly forbidden. The skill of the players is breathtaking. They move with an incredible grace and explosive power. They throw their bodies onto the hard court, twisting in midair to strike the ball with a padded hip, sending it flying down the alley to their opponents. The sound of the solid rubber ball hitting a player's hip yoke is a dull, percussive thud that echoes through the plaza. When the ball hits the sloping stone walls, it ricochets at incredible speeds and at unpredictable angles. The players must react in an instant, anticipating the bounce, positioning their bodies to receive a projectile that could easily break a rib or shatter a skull. The local sport is a fun, fast-paced game where you hit a 9-pound solid rubber ball with your hip. The players have amazing skills and spectacularly bruised internal organs. The crowd roars with every spectacular play. You find yourself shouting along with them. Caught up in the raw energy of the contest, the game is fast, violent, and beautiful. Men are knocked from their feet, sliding across the clay court, but they leap up instantly, their eyes fixed on the black ball. There is a sense of immense excitement, of gambling men are wagering precious jade beads or fine textiles on the outcome, but underneath it all is a deep, religious gravity. You are watching more than a game. You are watching the gods play out their eternal struggles. Using these magnificent men as their proxies on Earth, the game is long and grueling. The players are drenched in sweat, their bodies bruised and scraped. The score is kept by some method you do not understand, perhaps by how many times the ball is struck past a certain marker on the court. Finally, one team prevails. A great shout goes up from the half of the crowd that backed the winning team. The game is over, and now the mood shifts. The festive energy drains away, replaced by a solemn, fearful silence. The victorious team stands, panting, in the center of the court. The losing team kneels, their heads bowed. The ruler, your shaman king, descends from his high seat and enters the sacred space of the court, followed by the high priests. Their faces painted, their ceremonial obsidian knives gleaming at their belts. This is the part of the ritual that makes the ball game so terrifyingly important. The game was a sacred battle, and a battle, a cosmic struggle, must conclude with a sacrifice. The gods, having been entertained by the contest, must now be fed. But who is to be the offering? This is a subject of great and fearful uncertainty, a topic that Mesoamerican scholars thousands of years in the future will debate with no final answer. Is it the losers who will be sacrificed, a punishment for their failure in this divine contest? Or is it the winners? Could it be that the greatest honor, the most glorious end for a sacred ball player, is to win the great game and then be sent immediately? In a state of triumph, as a worthy messenger to the gods, you look at the two teams, one standing proud, one kneeling in submission, and you do not know whose life is about to end. It's the championship game, and the tension is high. Everyone is wondering who will be sacrificed. Hopefully not the winners, because that seems like a real flaw in the league's incentive structure. The high priest approaches the captain of the winning team. The captain is a magnificent warrior, his body a testament to a life of discipline. He shows no fear. He stands tall, his head held high. The priest speaks to him, his words too quiet for you to hear. The player nods once, a gesture of acceptance. It is the winners. Their victory has earned them the ultimate honor of becoming the sacrifice. The player is led by the priest from the ball court to the base of the Great Pyramid. The crowd is utterly silent, watching in reverent awe. The player is a hero. He has played the game of the gods, he has won, and now he will complete his sacred journey. He ascends the steps of the pyramid, following the priest towards the small temple at the summit. You watch from your place on the ball court wall. You cannot see the final act clearly, only the silhouettes of the figures at the top of the pyramid against the setting sun. You see the player forced to his knees. You see the priest raise the obsidian knife. The crowd lets out a collective, soft gasp, a sound that is both horrified and deeply pious. The sacrifice is made, the gods have been fed, the cosmic debt has been paid, the ceremony is over. You and the other villagers begin the long, quiet walk back to your homes. Your mind is reeling. You have witnessed a spectacle of incredible skill, profound religious meaning, and ultimate, disturbing violence. You have seen a man give his life, not in the heat of battle, but as the planned ritual conclusion to a game. You are beginning to understand the nature of your world more clearly. It is a world where life and death, sport and sacrifice are inextricably linked. It is a world where the favor of the gods is bought not just with the pain of your own blood, but with the very lives of their greatest champions. And you know that there are still more rituals, more strange and terrifying pathways to the spirit world that you have yet to witness. You have witnessed the great rituals of labor and of blood. You have seen a mountain moved by the will of your ruler, and you have seen the sacred ballgame conclude with the ultimate offering of a human life. You have come to understand that the world of the spirits is not a distant, gentle place. It is a powerful, demanding, and ever-present reality, and your shaman king is the only man who can navigate its treacherous currents. Tonight, you will witness the most secret and most terrifying of his powers. You will see him walk the path of transformation. The occasion is a somber one. The rains have been late. The young maize plants in your village fields are beginning to look weak and pale. The people are anxious. The rain spirit, the great jaguar toad deity, is displeased. A simple bloodletting is not enough to appease him. The ruler himself must journey into the spirit world to plead on your behalf. You are summoned once more to the ceremonial center. But this ceremony is different. It is not a festival of celebration or a public contest. It takes place at night. The great plaza is lit by hundreds of flickering torches, their light casting long, dancing shadows that seem to have a life of their own. The air is heavy and still, thick with the scent of burning copal and the low, monotonous drone of priests chanting in a ritual language. The mood is one of deep reverence and profound fear. You see your ruler emerge at the top of the pyramid. He is not in his full, magnificent regalia tonight. He is stripped to a simple loincloth, his body painted with strange, geometric symbols. He is preparing for a journey, and he cannot be weighed down by the things of this world. His assistants, the high priests, present him with a ceremonial bowl. Inside is a dark, steaming brew, prepared from sacred plants known only to them, based on the rituals of later Mesoamerican peoples. It is likely a powerful concoction of psychotropic mushrooms, or perhaps a potent form of tobacco, designed not for pleasure, but to shatter the barriers of ordinary perception. This is the gateway. He drinks the brew in a series of deep, deliberate swallows. For a long time, nothing happens. The ruler stands motionless at the top of the pyramid, a solitary figure against the star-filled sky. The only sounds are the chanting of the priests and the rhythmic shaking of rattles. Then, you see him begin to tremble. A low moan escapes his lips, a sound that is not entirely human. He begins to dance, his movements jerky and spasmodic at first, then becoming more fluid, more powerful. This is where the true mystery begins. To you, a devout believer, what you are witnessing is not a man under the influence of a drug. You are witnessing a man shedding his skin of humanity and allowing a divine force to enter him. He is becoming a vessel for the jaguar spirit. His dance becomes more feline. He crouches low to the ground, his muscles bunching. He moves with a predator's silent grace, then explodes into a sudden, violent leap. He throws his head back and a roar tears from his throat. But it is not the roar of a man. It is the guttural, terrifying cough of a jaguar. Your heart freezes in your chest. The sound echoes across the plaza, a sound of raw, untamable power that speaks of the deep. Dark jungle, his face, contorted in the torchlight, seems to change. His mouth pulls back from his teeth in a snarl, his lips thick and downturned, just like the mouths on the colossal stone heads. His eyes, wide and unfocused, seem to reflect the torchlight like a cat's. He is the were-jaguar, the central, most potent image in your people's art. Brought to terrifying life, he is no longer your ruler. He is a god, a beast, a terrifying hybrid of the two, walking between worlds. Your leader is a multi-talented individual. He's a head of state, a high priest, and on weekends he apparently turns into a jaguar. It's a very interesting policy meeting. He is not alone in his journey. One of the priests brings him an object of great power, a mirror. It is not a mirror of silvered glass, but one of highly polished iron ore, likely magnetite. It is concave, and its surface is dark and mysterious. This is an obscure but vital piece of Olmec ritual paraphernalia. This mirror is not for checking one's reflection. It is a portal, a scrying glass, a gateway to the other side. The ruler stares intently into the dark. Curved surface of the mirror. His reflection is distorted. Strange. It is said that in the swirling depths of the mirror, he can see the spirit world. He can see the forces that are withholding the rain. He can speak with the gods and the ancestors. He is having a conversation that you cannot hear, in a language you cannot understand. He growls and snarls at the visions in the mirror, battling them on your behalf. Anthropologists and art historians will one day debate the meaning of this powerful were-jaguar imagery. Is it a literal belief in shamanic transformation? Is it a mythological representation of a divine ancestor from whom your rulers claim descent? Or is it a sophisticated political symbol? A way for the ruling class to visually associate themselves with the strength and predatory power of the jaguar, thereby cementing their right to rule. The answer, which you will never know, is likely all three at once. But for you, watching this terrifying display, it is not a symbol. It is real. The ritual reaches its climax. The ruler lets out a final, soul-shattering roar and then collapses, his body twitching, his spirit finally returning from its violent journey. The priests rush to his side, covering him with a jaguar pelt, attending to him with a hushed reverence. They carefully carry his unconscious form back into the small temple at the top of the pyramid. The ceremony is over. The drumming and chanting cease. The crowd, which has been held in a state of terrified, breathless awe, lets out a collective sigh. You are left in the flickering torchlight of the plaza, your mind struggling to process what you have just witnessed. You have seen your king peel back the veil of reality. You have seen him wrestle with gods and demons. You have seen him become the jaguar. Your faith in him is no longer a matter of simple belief. It is a matter of direct, terrifying experience. The next morning, the rains come, a gentle, soaking rain that nourishes the thirsty maize fields. The ruler emerges from the temple. He announces that he has spoken with the rain spirit. He has appeased it. The balance has been restored, and no one doubts him. How could they? You saw it yourself. Saw it. You return to your village with a new and deeper understanding of the world. The power of your ruler is not just the power to command men to move stones. It is the power to command the rain, to walk with the spirits, to wear the skin of a jaguar. You understand now, more clearly than ever, that your life and the lives of everyone you know depend entirely on the strength and piety of this one man, this shaman, this king, and you will do whatever is asked of you. Give your labor, your food, your own blood to ensure that he remains strong enough to protect you from the terrifying, unseen forces that govern your world. You have seen your ruler walk in the spirit world. You have seen the rains return at his command. Your faith is no longer a simple belief. It is a certainty, forged in awe and terror. You understand that your world is a fragile thing, a small, safe space carved out of a chaotic universe of powerful, hungry gods, and that it is the rituals, the great works, that keep the chaos at bay. And so, when the call comes again for you to lend your labor to the state, you go without question. This time, the task is different. You are not going to the mountains to retrieve a great stone that will be seen by all. You are summoned to the ceremonial center itself for a project whose purpose is stranger and more profound. The goal is not to create a monument for men to admire, but to create a great offering, a treasure to be fed directly to the earth itself. You arrive at the great plaza to find it teeming with activity. A massive pit has been dug in the center of the plaza, a perfectly rectangular wound in the earth, its sides sheer and deep. Other men are digging other pits nearby. The scale of the work is immense. Your first task is to help transport the offerings. You are part of a long human chain, passing heavy, rough-hewn blocks of a beautiful, greenish stone from a great pile at the edge of the plaza to the edge of the pit. This is serpentine, a stone sacred to your people, its color echoing the green of young maize and the life-giving color of jade. The stone has been brought from many miles away, another testament to the ruler's power. The work is grueling. The blocks are heavy, and you pass them from man to man under the hot sun. Your muscles straining, your back aching. But the work is done with a kind of rhythmic, reverent purpose. A priest chants, a drum beats, and the stones move. Passed along the human conveyor belt, you watch as the other men, with great care, begin to lay the serpentine blocks into the bottom of the deep pit. They are not just dumping them in. They are creating a floor, a foundation of sacred greenstone. This is the first layer of a massive offering, a gift so large that future archaeologists will be stunned by the sheer scale of the labor. A scale that seems to have no practical purpose. While this work is going on, another, even stranger project is taking place in an adjacent section of the plaza. Here, the most skilled artisans of your civilization are at work. You watch them, mesmerized. The ground has been prepared with a layer of fine, colored clay, and on this bed, the artisans are creating a picture, a massive mosaic. Their tiles are not clay, but polished celts of the same green serpentine. Thousands of them, each one shaped and polished to a perfect, smooth finish. You watch for days as the image takes shape. It is a powerful, abstract face, large and stylized. With a downturned mouth and almond-shaped eyes, it is the face of a god, or a spirit. Perhaps the great were Jaguar himself, or the earth monster from whose mouth the maize plant grows. It is a work of breathtaking beauty and precision, a vast green, shimmering mask staring up at the sky from the floor of the plaza. It has taken months of work, the quarrying of the stone, the polishing of thousands of individual tiles, the painstaking placement of each one. It is the most beautiful thing you have ever seen. Surely, this is a new floor for a temple, a sacred space for all to admire, and then, the most baffling part of the ritual begins. The mosaic is finished. The priests perform a great ceremony to dedicate it, anointing it with sacred blood and burning copal. The ruler himself presides over it. And then, he gives the command. The art is to be buried. You are handed a basket of pinkish clay, along with hundreds of other men. You are ordered to approach the magnificent mosaic, and to cover it, you hesitate for a moment. To bury something so beautiful feels like an act of desecration. But the priests are chanting, and the order is absolute. You dump your basket of clay onto a corner of the green mask. The soft, colored earth obscuring the perfect. Polished stone. Man after man does the same. A layer of pink clay is followed by a layer of white clay, and then a layer of orange clay. Each color carefully placed. A ritual in itself. The beautiful face disappears under a blanket of a new earth. You have spent months creating a masterpiece, only to immediately destroy it, or rather, to hide it from all human eyes. So, let me get this straight. We spend 3 months making a giant, beautiful mask out of polished rocks, and then we immediately cover it with dirt. It makes perfect sense, if you don't think about it at all, which you are strongly encouraged not to do. This act, so strange to a modern mind, is the very heart of the ritual's meaning. The mosaic was not made for you. It was not made for the ruler. It was not made for human eyes at all. It was an offering, a meal, a treasure fed directly to the earth, to the underworld, to the great supernatural forces that live below your feet. Its purpose was fulfilled in the moment of its completion and its ritual interment. You are not destroying art. You are completing a sacrifice. This practice will lead to endless debate for the scholars of the future. What was the purpose of these massive offerings? Were they gifts to a hungry earth god? Were they cosmic anchors, designed to sanctify the ground of the ceremonial center and stabilize the world? Or were they an act of spectacular, competitive waste, a way for a ruler to show off his immense power by demonstrating he could command thousands of men to perform an enormous, seemingly pointless task? The answer is lost to time, but you, in this moment, understand it in your bones. It is a necessary act. It is how the world works. Once the mosaic is completely buried, your attention returns to the great pit with its serpentine floor. Now, a new layer is added. You pass basket after basket of fine jade artifacts, beautifully carved celts, small figurines of men and were jaguars, polished ear spools, and thousands of precious jade beads, a king's ransom and wealth. A treasure that represents the height of your civilization's artistry is poured into the pit like common gravel. It is another offering, another layer of spiritual nourishment for the gods below. Finally, the great pit is filled with tons of earth until it is level with the plaza once more. The ground is smoothed over, and now there is no sign of the immense work, no trace of the buried treasure. The plaza looks as it did before, just a flat expanse of packed earth. But you and everyone who participated know what lies beneath. You know that you are standing on a place of immense power, a place that has been fed and sanctified with stone, with jade, with art, and with the sweat of your own labor. You are dismissed. You are given your ration of maize, and you begin the long walk back to your village. Your body aches. The work was hard, the purpose mysterious, but you feel a sense of deep, religious satisfaction. You have helped to secure the foundations of the world. You have buried a treasure for the gods, and you know that this act, this strange and disturbing ritual of creation and burial, is as vital to your survival as the planting of the maize itself. For in your world, you must feed the gods below the earth before you can ask them to feed you with the crops that grow upon it. You have returned from the ceremonial center, your mind still echoing with the strange, solemn work of burying treasure for the gods. The great rituals of state are overwhelming, powerful, and terrifying, but they are distant thunder. Your daily life, your immediate reality, is governed by a much more intimate and demanding deity, one whose face you see every day, whose body you consume for your very survival. Your life revolves around the face of the maize god. He is not a god who lives in a faraway spirit world. He lives in the soil of your milpa, your small field carved out of the jungle. He is the single, precious kernel of dried maize you push into the warm earth. He is the tender green shoot that miraculously appears a week later. He is the strong, tall stalk that grows through the hot summer. And he is the full, ripe ear of corn that you will harvest in the autumn. Your entire existence is a year-long ritual dedicated to his cultivation, his protection, and his eventual, necessary sacrifice. Your most important god is basically a walking, talking corn cob. This makes perfect sense. Because if the corn harvest fails, you die, you tend to pray very hard to the things that can kill you. The great cycle begins anew in the dry season. The field you used last year has given up its strength to the crop. The jungle is always waiting to reclaim its territory. So a new field must be made. You and your father and the other men of your family go to a patch of forest at the edge of the village. With your stone axes, you begin the back-breaking work of clearing the undergrowth and the smaller trees. It is hot, sweaty, dangerous work. The air is thick with insects, and you are always watchful for the venomous snakes that call this jungle home. This is the slash and burn method of farming, a technique your people have perfected over centuries. The felled trees and brush are left to dry for several weeks under the hot sun, until they are tinder dry. Then, on a carefully chosen day, the field is set ablaze. The fire rages, a great roaring beast that consumes the dried vegetation, leaving behind a rich layer of fertilizing ash and a stark, blackened landscape. The smoke, thick and white, rises to the sky, an offering to the rain spirit, an invitation for him to bring the nourishing waters to this new field. Now you must plant. This is an act of immense faith. The seed corn you use is from last year's harvest. Carefully selected and saved, it is the hope of the future. The village shaman may perform a blessing over the seeds. In your own hut, your mother might have a small ceramic figurine, a baby face effigy of a pudgy, infant-like being. Some believe these to be representations of the young maize god, and offerings are made to it, pleading for its protection over the seeds you are about to plant. You take your digging stick, the koe, a simple, fire-hardened wooden tool, and you walk the new field. With each step, you plunge the stick into the ashy soil, creating a small hole. You drop in 3 or 4 precious kernels. Then cover them with your foot. Poke, drop, cover, poke, drop, cover. You do this for days, under the blazing sun. Your movement's a rhythmic, prayerful dance. You're not just planting seeds, you are burying the god, entrusting his body to the earth in the faithful expectation of his resurrection. Then comes the season of anxiety. You watch the sky, you wait for the rains. When they finally come, a great sense of relief washes over the village. A few days later, a miracle occurs. You walk out to your field and see them thousands of tiny, bright green shoots pushing their way up through the blackened earth. The maize god is reborn, but he is a fragile, vulnerable infant. Now you must become his fierce protector. You fight a constant war against his enemies. There are the weeds, which threaten to choke him and steal his nourishment. You spend weeks stooped over, pulling them by hand. There are the pests, the swarms of locusts that can descend and strip a field bare. The birds that try to steal the young shoots. The clever, raccoon-like coyotes that will try to raid the maturing cobs. You build scarecrows, you set traps, you shout and clap your hands to drive them away. You are a soldier guarding the life of your god. The understanding of who this god is exactly is a complex matter. The archaeologists of the future will see his face carved on stone monuments, a distinctive being with a cleft head from which maize itself seems to sprout. They will debate his nature. Is he a single, unified deity, or a whole complex of different spirits related to agriculture? Is he the same as the later, well-documented Maya maize god? Or is his Olmec form older, more mysterious for you? These questions are meaningless. You know him intimately. He is the plant in your field. His life is your life. As the ears of corn begin to swell and ripen, a new task begins. The women of your family take the hard, dried kernels saved from the previous year, and they begin the daily, laborious process of turning this inedible rock into the bread that sustains you. They use a remarkable technology your people discovered long ago, a process that future scientists will call nixtamalization. They take the dried kernels and soak them overnight in a solution of water and lime, made from crushed burned limestone, or sometimes just wood ash. This alkaline bath works a kind of magic. It dissolves the hard outer hull of the kernel, making it easier to grind, but more importantly, it chemically changes the maize itself. It releases the niacin and the amino acids locked inside, making the grain vastly more nutritious. Without this crucial step, a diet of pure maize would lead to a terrible deficiency disease called pellagra. This simple, ingenious process is one of the foundations of your entire civilization. To make your food edible, you first have to soak it in a mixture of water and powdered rocks. It sounds like a terrible recipe, but it turns out to be a key technological breakthrough. The next morning, the women take the softened, swollen kernels, the nixtamal, and they grind it. This is the sound you wake up to every morning of your life, the rhythmic. Scraping sound of a stone mano being worked back and forth against a stone metate for hours. Your mother or your wife kneels on the floor, grinding the kernels into a soft, wet dough called masa. It is a testament to the strength and endurance of the women of your culture. Finally, autumn arrives. The maize stalks are dry, their great ears heavy and full. It is time for the harvest. But this is not just a time of joy. It is also a time of solemn sacrifice. You are about to kill the god so that your people may live. You enter the field with a sense of reverence. You snap the heavy ears from the stalk. You carry the great bounty back to the village in heavy baskets. The first and most perfect ears of corn are not for you. They are taken to the village shrine as an offering. They are placed on the altar, and thanks are given to the maize god for giving his body for your survival. The rest of the harvest is brought back to your home for shucking and drying. The precious kernels stored for the year to come. That evening, a special meal is prepared. Your mother takes the fresh, new masa and pats it into thin, round cakes. She cooks them on a hot clay griddle. The kamal. That sits over the fire, the smell of the toasting maize, a nutty, earthy, and deeply comforting aroma fills your small hut. This is the smell of life, of security, of a successful cycle. You sit with your family around the orori. You are given a warm, soft maize cake. You bite into it. The taste is simple, profound, and satisfying. It is the taste of the sun, the rain, and the earth. It is the taste of your own hard labor. It is the body of your god. The cycle is complete. The god has died, and through his death, you and your family will live to see another year, another planting, another rebirth. You are safe for now, nourished by the god you have both cultivated and killed. But you know that the world is a cycle of life and death, and that just as you have brought this god back from the earth, you must also be prepared for the journey that all men must eventually take into it. The great cycle of the maize god is complete. The harvest is in. The offerings have been made. And your family has been nourished by the body of the god you helped to grow. For a time, there is a sense of security, of balance restored. But the world, is a constant cycle not just of birth and life, but also of decay and death. The journey of the maize god from the earth to the sky and back again is a journey that all living things must take. And one day, that journey begins for your father. His passing is a quiet one. He is an old man, his body worn out from a lifetime of labor in the fields. He dies not from violence or a sudden sickness, but from a simple wearing out of the mortal coil. He passes away in his hammock in the cool of the morning, surrounded by his family. There is grief, a deep and aching sadness, but there is no shock. Death is not an unexpected intruder in your world. It is a constant, familiar presence, the shadow that gives life its shape and meaning. His life is over, but his journey is not. It has just begun. You now have a sacred duty. The most important duty a son has for his father. You must prepare him for his long and dangerous trek through the underworld. In your cosmology, the underworld is not a place of punishment or reward based on your deeds in life. It is a terrifying, obstacle-ridden realm that every soul must navigate to reach the final place of rest. The land of the ancestors. It is a dark, wet place, filled with malevolent gods, treacherous rivers, and mountains that crash together. To send your father on this journey unprepared would be to condemn his spirit to be lost forever. The entire family, the entire community, comes together for the preparations. The body is treated with a profound reverence. It is the vessel that housed your father's spirit, the seed from which his soul will now travel. The women of your family gently wash his body with water, infused with fragrant herbs. He is then dressed in his finest woven clothing, a loincloth and cloak that had been saved for this very purpose. His body is then adorned for the journey. A string of precious green jade beads is placed around his neck. Jade is the color of life, of water, of young maize shoots. It holds a powerful life force. Another, single. Polished jade bead is placed inside his mouth. This will be his spiritual sustenance for the journey, a concentrated essence of life, and perhaps a toll to be paid to the grim ferrymen of an underworld river. Packing for a trip to the underworld is a lot of work. You need to pack snacks, some tools, and enough jade beads to pay the tolls. The next step is one of striking. Symbolic power. Your mother brings out a small pot of a brilliant red powder. It is cinnabar, a mineral ground from a mercury ore, or perhaps a less toxic red ochre. With great care, she covers your father's body in the vibrant red pigment. He is transformed, his skin now the color of blood, the color of life, a magical protection against the decay and darkness of the underworld. The use of this brilliant, and in the case of cinnabar, dangerous substance is an obscure but powerful part of the ritual, a sign of the immense sacredness of this final passage. Once he is anointed, your father's body is carefully moved into a flexed, fetal position, his knees drawn up to his chest. He is being returned to the position of his birth. To be reborn into the world of the spirits, he is then tightly wrapped in layers of finely woven cotton cloth, and then in a patat, a sturdy woven reed mat. He is now a sacred bundle, a seed ready for planting in the earth. But he cannot go on his journey empty-handed. You must provide him with the tools he will need. At his side, you place the things that defined his life. His own stone metate and mano. The grinding stones he used to make the daily maize dough are placed near him, so he will not go hungry. Several small ceramic vessels are filled with atole, the maize porridge, and with fresh water, you place his finest stone celt, his polished axe head, in the bundle, so he can clear a path through the dark forests of the underworld. And beside him, you place a small, charming ceramic figurine of a dog. Dogs, in your belief system, are loyal companions and, most importantly, expert guides. They know the paths between worlds, and this small effigy will guide your father's spirit safely through the darkness. The location of his burial is as important as the preparation. He will not be taken to a distant cemetery. He will remain with the family. You and your brothers begin the hard, solemn work of digging a grave in the very center of the floor of your family's hut. You are literally living on top of your ancestors. The practice, common throughout Mesoamerica, keeps the spirits of the dead close to the living. They are not gone. They are simply in the room below. They are the roots of your family tree, and you are the living branches. This creates a powerful, unbroken continuity between the generations. It makes for very quiet family reunions, but really encourages you to keep the floor clean. Archaeologists of the future will debate the meaning of these burial customs. Does the placement under the house signify a form of ancestor worship? Does the variation in grave goods between different burials indicate a highly stratified society, with a vast gap between the rich and the poor for you? The meaning is simple and personal. You are keeping your father close. You are honoring him and providing for him. When the grave is deep enough, your father's funeral bundle is lowered gently into the earth. Your mother lets out a low, keening wail, a sound of pure grief. The entire family offers final prayers and farewells. Then, you begin the work of filling the grave. With each basket of earth you pour, you are burying a lifetime of memories, but you are also completing a sacred duty. You are planting your father. returning his body to the earth from which he, and the maze that sustained him, came when the grave is filled. The earthen floor of the hut is replastered until it is smooth once more. There is no outward marker, but you will always know where he is. A small space on the wall above the grave will become a family shrine. Here, you will leave small offerings of food and drink for him. You will burn copal incense for him on special days. He is not gone. He has simply undertaken a different kind of journey. You have now seen the great cycle through to its end. You have seen the maize god born from the earth, and you have seen your own father return to it. You understand that life and death are not opposites, but two parts of the same eternal process. You have fulfilled your duties to the gods and to your ancestors. You feel a sense of solemn peace, but you also know that just as individuals must die, so too can entire worlds. And you have seen the strange portents, the signs that the world you know is itself approaching the end of its own great cycle. You have fulfilled your duties to the dead. Your father is at peace, his spirit beginning its long journey, his physical presence now a part of the earth beneath your family's home. You have played your part in the great, endless cycle of life, death, and rebirth. But you begin to feel, with a growing sense of unease, that a much larger cycle is nearing its own end. The portents are subtle at first. The rains are not quite right for 2 seasons in a row. A strange, sickly yellow fungus appears on the maize. The trade canoes that come up the river from the coast are fewer, and they bring unsettling stories of anew. Powerful people rising in the distant highlands. The shaman king, your ruler, is now an old, frail man. He performs the rituals. But the fire of his youth, the terrifying power you once saw when he danced as the jaguar, has faded. The cosmic balance feels precarious. The world feels old and tired. Then the command comes. It is the most shocking and bewildering command of your life. It comes from the priest and the now feeble ruler, the great ceremonial center. The heart of your world for 500 years is to be put to sleep. Its power is to be ended. The city's great cycle has turned, and it must now die to be reborn elsewhere. At another time, you are summoned for your labor. One last time. But this is not a labor of creation. It is a labor of decreation, a great, solemn, and organized act of ritual destruction. You are led back to the great plaza, the place where you witnessed so many powerful ceremonies. You are taken to the line of colossal stone heads, the immortal portraits of the rulers who have governed this land for generations. You are given a heavy stone maul, and you are ordered to destroy them. The act feels like a profound blasphemy. You are being told to strike the face of a god, but the priests are chanting, and the order is absolute, hesitantly at first, then with a kind of grim, ritualized fervor. You and the other men begin the work. You attack the monuments that your own ancestors may have died to create. You swing your maul against the serene, powerful stone cheek of a long-dead king. You chip away at the downturned lips, the broad nose. You help topple the great heads from their pedestals. An act which requires almost as much effort as setting them up. This is not a chaotic, angry mob. It is a slow, deliberate, and respectful killing of the monuments. Their spirit, their power, must be neutralized, put to rest, before the site can be abandoned. This strange, deliberate destruction is a historical fact that will baffle archaeologists. The great center of San Lorenzo, one of the oldest Olmec sites, was abandoned around 900 BCE after a massive, organized effort to deface and bury its monuments. This was not the work of invaders. The effort was too great, too orderly. It was the work of the Olmec themselves. The community has decided on a major urban renewal project. Step 1, ceremonially murder all the existing public art. Step 2, bury it. Step 3, abandon the city. It's a very forward-thinking approach to city planning. After the monuments are killed, You must help bury them. You help drag the 20-ton heads into the long, deep trenches that have been dug in the plaza. You enter them with the same reverence you showed when you buried your own father, aligning them carefully, as if putting them to bed for a long sleep. This act of destruction is also, in a way, an act of creation. You have heard the stories of how some of the great stone altars were actually recarved from the colossal heads of even more ancient rulers. The destruction of one monument was the necessary first step to the creation of the next. This obscure practice suggests a worldview where power and sacredness are not lost, but are transferred. The spirit of an old stone being reborn in a new shape. The cause of this great abandonment will be a mystery forever. Was it a rebellion against a weakened ruling class? Was it the result of a great environmental change, the rivers changing course, the land losing its fertility? Or was it, as this great ritual suggests, a planned voluntary exodus, a belief that the cosmic energy of this particular spot was exhausted, and it was time to move on and found a new center elsewhere? You do not know the reason. You only know that you must obey when the last of the monuments is buried. A great final ceremony is held in the now empty plaza. The sacred bundles, the ritual objects, are packed. The ruler, looking ancient and frail, leads a great procession, and you, your family, and the entire population of the surrounding region abandon the place that has been the center of your universe for centuries. You walk away from the great earthen pyramids, from the buried heads, from the sacred ball court. You do not look back. It is a slow, solemn exodus, not a panicked flight. There is a deep sadness, a sense of a world ending. But there is also a sense of fulfilling a great and necessary cosmic duty. The world turns. The gods demand change, and you must move with them. You are leaving behind a mystery. You are leaving behind giant stone heads, buried mosaics, and strange, powerful art that will lie sleeping under the jungle for 3,000 years. And when they are rediscovered, they will have no words to explain who you were, what you believed, or why you vanished. Your entire civilization will become a question mark, a ghost in the memory of the land. You walk towards a new, unknown home, a place where a new center will be built, a place where the cycle will begin again. Your journey, and the story of your people, ends not with a bang, not with the fire of conquest, but with the quiet, deliberate, and profoundly disturbing ritual of a civilization choosing to bury itself. And so, the procession walks away from the silent, buried city and fades into the mists of history. The story of the Olmec, a story without words, comes to a quiet end. Let the images of the humid jungle, the great stone heads, and the strange, powerful rituals begin to soften and dissolve. Pull your awareness back across the thousands of years that separate your world from theirs. Back to the gentle, peaceful darkness of your own room. The mysteries of the Olmec remain. They are a civilization known to us only by their powerful art and the enigmatic ruins they left behind. They are a testament to the fact that a culture can be great, influential, and complex, and yet leave behind no words to explain itself. They are a quiet reminder of how much of our human past is lost to silence. How many stories we will never truly know. But tonight, you can let those mysteries rest. Let the questions fade. There is no need to understand the minds of the shaman kings or the meaning of the were-jaguar. Your only task now is to embrace the peace of your own understandable world. Feel the simple, solid reality of your bed, the gentle weight of your blanket. Listen to the quiet, familiar sounds of your own home. Let each soft sound be a comfort, a reassurance that you are safe, and that the strange, disturbing world we just visited is a world of distant, sleeping shadows. Your day is done. The journey is over. Allow your mind to become still and drift into a deep and peaceful sleep.